Hello, true duelists. My name is Craig Fee, and as always, welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Update. It was another week of regionals, and honestly, folks, I don't know how much I can really tell you that matters. Maze of Memories didn't bring a whole lot to the metagame in the grand scheme. Sorry to all the Gate Guardian enthusiasts, but that deck didn't really do a whole lot from what I've been able to see. And beyond that, the set had reprints and the return of Ancient Fairy Dragon more than anything else. So the metagame's pretty well the same. Kashtira is still the consistent threat, Sprite is still topping regionals constantly, and the variety of decks able to be in the top cut is just about as diverse as it had been in the pre-Power of the Elements formats. As in, there's a whole lot of decks you can be playing, and way too many things to consider if you're trying to build a sideboard. Hooray! It's Yu-Gi-Oh! We're going to complain. You know that, I know that, and it's way more entertaining to hear me bitch about something than say thing good. Probably. One thing that did catch my eye from this past weekend's events was one OTS championship event wherein both Monarch and Blackwing topped. Now, Sprite won out the entire event, of course, because it's Blackwings and Monarchs we're talking about here. But still, Blackwing made second, which is just as impressive as it is funny, if you ask me. It's a pretty decent deck with plenty of options for combos, and look at this list, it's using a bunch of the new cards from Darkwing Blast. And if you tell me that Darkwing Blast isn't new anymore, it's also playing Gale of the Whirlwind and Black Feather Storm. What is the name of the continuous spell? Black Whirlwind. That's the name of the card. Either way, it's playing cards from 2009. So yeah, I'm gonna call the 2023 support new. Or 2022, whatever. You know what I mean. It's synchro spam, and I love it, so take a look at it. And look, because the new support pushed Black Winged Dragon, the deck can now play Hot Red Dragon or Fiend Abyss. Cool. And then there's Monarchs. What new innovations on Monarchs could possibly have been implemented to get the deck to top in a post-Power of the Elements world? It's Domain Monarch. It's of course, it's Domain Monarch. It's always a Domain Monarch. Just like, I'm talking 3 structure decks almost verbatim from the 2016 Emperor of the Monarch Cool Guy structure deck. Real name, don't at me. You got 3 Ida, you got 3 Eidos, you got totally not Monarch support in the form of that Pendulum monster, but it's exclusively good in like Monarch decks, so it's Monarch support. That guy, that's the spice. And then, you know, that's it. That's it. And that's not even the new spice. That card's like 3 or 4 years old at this point. I'm just saying that's the newest thing when looking at this fucking 2016 ass deck. Because as it turns out, the Scythe Lock, but in the form of a field spell, is just as effective as the Scythe Lock. Who'd have thought? The key to winning with this deck is, of course, not to brick. Just be lithium, forehead. Fucking figure it out. Either way, that's it. Those are the 2 interesting things are Blackwings and Monarchs, because this format is just wild. And this all makes for an interesting case of what the fuck do I side when it comes to the more premier events, most notably for attendees of the 250th YCSs taking place the weekend of April 2nd and 1st. That's right, April Fool's YCS. Well, losing doesn't count. I was pranking you by playing bad intentionally. Yeah, try and argue that with a judge. These YCSs will be taking place in London, England, Los Angeles in the United States, and in Bogota in Colombia. That's just 2 weeks from now, and we'll report on at least one of those in that week's update, because it's gonna be plenty to talk about. Won't be talking about fucking Blackwings and Monarchs in that video, I assure you that. In other big event news, Konami has also announced the dates for 3 of its region's World Championship qualifiers for the Americas. Because fun fact, that's not just a country. America can also refer to like 2 whole ass continents on the world map. The more you know. The North American World Championship qualifiers will be held in Raleigh, North Carolina on the weekend of July 7th. The Central American World Championship qualifiers will be held on the weekend of June 9th in Guadalajara, Mexico. And lastly, the South American World Championship qualifiers will be in Quito, Ecuador. I think I got that right, sure hope so, on the weekend of June 23rd. This is exciting news for an downright negligible number of people who will be seeing this video and even stand a chance to attend and top, and it's completely irrelevant for the overwhelming majority of the people who are watching this. Sorry, not sorry, but most of us aren't actually good at this game. Certainly not good enough to get the WCQs. Do not at me. The best part of this event remains, as always, that the decks played to win will not be playable at Worlds, because Worlds uses a combination of the two prominent regions, the OCG and the TCG's ban list, wherein each card is at the lowest spot that it is in between the two formats ban lists. What is speaking? For example, to be clear, Max C is at 3 in the OCG, but it's banned in the TCG, which means it's banned at Worlds. And Wandering Griffin Rider is at 3 in the TCG, but it's banned in the OCG, so it's banned at Worlds. And Gamma is like limited or semi-limited, so it's limited or semi-limited at Worlds. This isn't important right now, but it's funnier than any joke I'll putting into this fucking video, because Worlds format is a mutt of a format, and I'm putting it in the script. In merch news, Konami has announced a new Speed Duel box. Now, we've been getting it through the GX era, so you might think that it's more of that. Or maybe you think that it's the 5Ds era introduced into Speed Duels at long last. After all, we are getting the Speed Duel GX Duelists of Shadows just next week on March 31st. So what's this newly announced one set to come out in August? Speed Duel Streets of Battle City. Yes, more DM support. We need more blue eyes. That's not optional, Konami. This is absolutely a prerequisite for printing cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! They need to include blue eyes in some capacity. This set will feature 8 pre-built decks based on Battle City from the anime, with a promo mentioning decks for Weevil, Mako Tsunami, and Esperbora. I think I spelled that wrong. Oh well. Along with the obvious Yugi and Joey. Esperoba. That's... whatever. Psychic Man. Coaster for my drink man. Whatever. As is standard at this point, there's also 8 secret rares included from what I am sure will be a random assortment of cards, with Dark Magician Girl and Flame Swordsman being mentioned specifically. This will be sure to shake up the metagame in the metaphysical sense, where it will have no impact whatsoever, but we haven't had a reprint of Blue Eyes yet this year. It is almost April, and we are severely lacking on the Blue Eyes White Dragons prints. Konami, what are you doing? Get on it. In all actuality, this will be nice because hopefully it'll have some reprints of cards that are needed, you know, reprints of, because, like, why is Substitute only have 1 printing? I just want to play Edison and not pay $75 for a playset. Can that be an option? Probably not. None of these cards, or the GX cards, are gonna, like, Substitute's a 2010 card. So, no, fuck me, fuck you, that's the general consensus. I just want reprints, goddammit. Please. In some more interesting news for bad kids, YGOProDeck.com has announced it's got a new beta for Suggestions feature, a tool that will look at what archetype you're building and go through its library of deck lists for that archetype and show you commonly used staples and engines from other builds of the same deck. As of now, it only compares decks of the same listed archetype on the site's library, so there is still room for improvement, at least according to the site themselves, but even as is, I'm sure this will be very helpful for players to look at building decks just using the site. Using this, and not inherently knowing all archetypes and all their synergies, is of course a sign that you are a bad and unskilled duelist, because real duelists know everything at all times in all capacities always. Really, I like this because where does it land in the net decking debate? It's looking at other decks to build yours, and people with Twitter accounts have clearly stated that net decking is bad because authentic duelists mimic Yugi's deck only by playing 40 one-ofs and hoping to win duels and blaming, I don't know, God when they lose. It's fucking, I hate the net deck debate. Either way, they exist now, and you can check it out on YGOProDeck.com and look at their deck builder to see if it'll help you. This is not a sponsorship, by the way. They don't give a fuck about me, and, you know, I'm just saying it's there and you can use it, okay? I'm the fucking newsman. I'm gonna get that shit tattooed on my arm, is I'm the fucking newsman, because this joke's dead. Next. In community news, there's some truly one-of-a-kind news this week, with Schm having released a just under 18-minute documentary going over Tyler the Great Warrior, which, if you aren't aware, is a one-of-a-kind Yugioh card made by the Make-A-Wish Foundation for Tyler Gressley, who had a rare form of cancer when he was younger and was given the card as his wish. This card is infamous among collectors in the community at large because it is literally one of a kind, and it's estimated to be one of the, if not the, most expensive Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever printed. The only one I think that contests it is that really ancient Japanese like Bandai BLS. I'm not an expert. Either way, this is some cash money card here, and it's a card with a good amount of history, which is relevant because the card is being put up for auction on April 19th, as confirmed by the documentary. If you'd like to know more about it, you can check out the video, which I highly recommend it. It's a very well done video, and it's really neat to see the history of one of the most infamous cards of all time, not relating to a card's degeneracy. And that's impressive for Yu-Gi-Oh, I'll tell you what. Still, if you want to know more about the process of getting it graded and more about Tyler and the process he went through to have the card made by Konami officially at all, check it out. The auction is going to be held on eBay and will almost certainly sell for more money than the vast majority of people are comfortable spending on anything shy of like a down payment for a house, if I had to guess. But it is the collector's item of collector's items in the game, so it makes sense that it'll be pricey, and if nothing else, that's some easy clickbait right there. I didn't even have to fucking think about the thumbnail today. Thank you to Schm for doing that for me. You're a real one, my guy. Also this week, are you interested in watching an actual good player take your rogue deck to the next level? Rogue in this instance probably having been spelled out as rouge, and not being rogue in terms of an actual tier listing in regards to the competitive scene, but instead just I like the deck, therefore it's rogue, because that's what rogue means in the grand scheme of, you know, Reddit and Twitter users. If that's the case, then you can go ahead and get excited for not only Jesse Cotton's proposed series, wherein he'll be taking a look at Earth Machines, that I'm sure he'll start posting on soon enough. Maybe. He's mentioned it, it's in the works, eventually. But now Joshua Schmidt has also included a planned series of his own, where he's asked on Twitter for players to mention what type of deck they would like to see him play and try out. Now, if you understand comedy, you know that it is your obligation to also get Joshua Schmidt playing Earth Machines. That's just that's hilarious. Both Jesse and Josh pushing Earth Machines to the utmost that deck can be pushed to. And then if they understand comedy, they'll also agree to that and not post anything, so that all the other deck lists and pet deck players can be upset that their deck didn't win, and Earth Machine players can be disappointed by series that are never actually released. Not unlike the disappointment that Earth Machine players' opponents feel every time they watch Earth Machine spend 15 minutes of comboing to end on like a +1 from a draw and like ancient gearbox in hand, and it's like, wow, what a thanks, man. What is time? Meaningless, apparently, because you're playing fucking Earth Machines. So yeah, that's what's that. If you want to go like the deck that's already been suggested under that Twitter thread, or maybe be the first person to mention Earth's Arctic, because no fixing that deck, apparently. Just shitting on Earth's Arctic this week. You can go ahead and check out that tweet. Thanks, as always, this week go out to our sponsor, the LIFD Magnetic Display, which you could use to display the single most expensive card you've ever owned. Just buy a copy of Tyler the Creator this coming April in the auction, I'm sure that won't cost you much, and then rip it out of the graded card holder it's in and place it into an LIFD Magnetic Display. Because you clearly have far too much money, and it would absolutely piss people off, and that would be really funny. Just think about it. The Yu-Gi-Oh collector equivalent to the Crypto Bros would be lividly pissed at you, and you'd have done it for the meme. It's pretty based. I'm looking around, it seems pretty based to me. Or you can put whatever card you want in it. That's you do you. This is the best way, of course, to support the channel, and thanks as always to LIFD for the continued support, and thank you for watching. So that'll wrap it up for this week's update. As always, I've been your host, Craig Fee, and make sure you subscribe to Yugioh Strats for next week's update to impress your smokin' Italian wife, and so you too can be a true duelist. Oh no, people are upset about the Trap Trick short. Mom, an anime profile picture thinks the Trap Trick short is cringe. What do I do?